Hi everybody, it's so lovely to be back. I had the most, incredible, intense, amazing 2 weeks in Rajasthan, and India's sort of like, you arrive and you put your seatbelt on and vroom, it just takes you there. And so, having just landed, processing all of that, welcome to this practice. Starting in seated meditation. The palms open into the sky, the shoulders relaxing, the face softening. Soft, smooth inhalations and exhalations. And then lifting the hands and firmly pressing the palms against each other so that there's a vibrancy in the chest, in the center of the chest, the spiritual heart. Our energy, our attention turning towards this area, our breath flowering into this area. And opening our practice with one more. Inhale. And as the hands come down, the chin lifting, opening. And let's begin. So we're going to come to Sukhasana. If you weren't seated in Sukhasana, go ahead and cross the right ankle in front of the left. And if you don't need a blanket, removing that and placing it back. Yoga Mudrasana, entering through the exhale. Use the exhale to push into the hands, and from there to push the hips back as the trunk extends forward. Keep pushing the hips back with every exhale. And then coming back up, changing the cross of the ankles, and exhaling into Yoga Mudrasana. Make sure the shoulders are broad so the back of the neck can be free. And this in turn leads to a deeper potential of pacification of the brain. And then coming back up and releasing. Legs straight out in front. Again, if you'd like to sit on a blanket and have some support, just hit pause on me and put a little blanket underneath the sit bones. Widening our sit bones apart so that we feel the difference between the left and the right sit bones. And therefore, each leg, each thigh belongs, if you will, is coming into each hip. We're not amalgamating this area, starting to differentiate so that we can feel more. Look at the feet, make sure they're lined up, and pull the toes back, but push through the balls of the feet. So pushing out through the balls of the feet and pulling all of the toes back, particularly the outside edges of the feet. This is often very common. So learning to bring the outer skirting of the feet, energetically lifting it to the outer hips. Stretch the arms up. And reach forward, and then come down. See if you can take the outside edges of the feet, and exhaling forward. If you can't reach the feet yet, have the hands on the mat,
walking them forward as the spine extends, lowering the head so the back of the neck is long. Deep in the inhale, deep in the exhale. And then looking up, re-stretch the arms forward, check your toes are still pulling back, and then lifting the arms up. And exhaling the arms down. Lying on our backs and doing the exact same pose from a different perspective. So first of all, stretch the arms up, cross your thumbs so you have traction there, and stretch the arms back behind. If for some reason there's shoulder issues and it hurts to stretch the arm back, you can take this blanket and have it underneath the forearms, or you can have 2 blankets or a bolster, so taking height so that the arms can be straight and pulling back, opening the armpit, chest and the side ribs. I'm going to just move that out of the way. Okay, check that your lower back is connecting with the mat. It may wish to arch up, so you need to watch it. And then feet off the mat. Bring the thighs closer, keep stretching the arms. Lower back to the mat. And pull the toes back. And then inhale. And with an exhale, straighten the legs to the sky. Look at your feet. If you're having this action where the outer skirting is not coming back as you want it to, go ahead and correct that. Make sure the outer skirting of the feet is traveling down the outer calves, down the outer thighs to the outer hips. All the toes coming back, but you're pushing out through the balls of the feet. If you feel that your legs are in a diagonal, you're going to be feeling more core pressure. See if your legs are open enough to bring them up to where they feel really perpendicular to the mat. And if you're very flexible, there'll be the tendency to bring the legs a little bit away towards you. So you might want to move them back so you really feel them to be as perpendicular as possible. And then you can draw the heads of the femur bones into the hips. So right here, the root of the femur bone, suck in and feel how that affects the right hip, the left hip on the mat, that firmness there. The legs should be burning. Re-stretch the arms. And 2. And 1. And then bending the knees. Feet to the floor. Lift the arms back up. Remember which thumb is across which thumb. We'll be changing. And then exhale. Let the knees rest against each other. Relax the abdomen and breathe. Deep inhalation. Deep exhalation. Relax the shoulders. Alright, ready back into action for the second one, Urdhva Prasarita Padasana. So first stretching the arms up, changing the cross of the thumbs, and stretching the arms back, taking support for the arms if needed. Feet off the mat, draw the thighs closer, pull the toes back, inhale, and with an exhale, push the legs up, and look for that perpendicularity. Look at your feet with your eyes, adjust, refine, and draw the heads of the femur bones into their respective hip sockets. Feel how that impacts the imprint of the back hips on the mat. Make sure the lower back is pressing down. Keep stretching the arms, feeling the armpits open, the side ribs open. And then bending the knees, feet to the mat, spread the feet apart, knees rest against each other, lift the arms up, and extend, relaxing completely. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation. And then separating the knees again, bringing the feet in so that they are parallel, lifting the right foot up, lifting up, holding our feet, the foot. If you can, the head back down, if your body allows you to, otherwise lifting the trunk. Inhale, and exhale, straighten as best as you can, pull the toes back, and then go ahead and bend again. Inhale, and exhale, straighten the leg, pull the toes back, and then lift yourselves up, pull the leg closer, come to the shin, and pull the head of the femur bone in. And then back down, and foot to the floor. Left leg up, holding the foot. If you can rest the head on the mat, do so, otherwise hold it lifted. Draw the leg closer, inhale. And exhale, straightening as best as we can, pulling the toes back. And then bending. Inhale. And exhale, straightening, again pulling the toes back. And then lifting up, drawing the leg closer, coming towards the shin, and pulling with the hands to pound the femur bone into the hip socket. And then back down. Bending the knees and releasing. Right now, bringing the right leg into Padmasana. So lifting it up, moving the calf, and placing the outer foot as high up that left thigh as you can. And then lift the left leg up, interlock the fingers, take a bandha action. Breathing. Really slowing the breath down. Reveling in the breath, deep, long inhales, deep, long exhales. And then releasing that leg. And the Padmasana leg, and just bend and extend that Padmasana leg a few times so the knee reintegrates. Always treating ourselves lovingly. Alright, changing sides, left leg to Padmasana, clearing the calf energy, foot high on the thigh, so the knee, which faces out at first, slowly wants to start to face forward. Right leg up, interlock the fingers, take a bandha action with Ahimsa Padmasana. Lengthen the breath. And releasing, foot to the left. Now let's stretch the legs straight, Tadasana legs. Pull the toes back, the outer skirting of the feet coming back. Lift the arms up, cross your thumbs, and stretch the arms back, long vertical stretch. Keep pulling the hands away from the feet, the heels away from the hands. And then release, relax. And now, changing the cross of the thumbs, Re-roll the legs in, pull the toes back, activate the legs, re-stretch your arms, long vertical stretch. And be sure that your lower back isn't overarching. Look for ways to move the buttocks towards the heels and to have the lower back feel that it's descending, even as you're stretching the hands away from the feet away from the hands. And then exhale, releasing, relaxing completely. And then rolling over and coming back out. Alright, so we're a little warmed up now. And the mind slowly starting to be harnessed, turning inwards. Let's prepare to get a little bit more active. We're going to do some sun salutations interspersed with lunges. So I'm just going to be taking off the long sleeve top and getting ready to ignite a little more heat. At the front of our mat with our feet spread the width of the mat, turn the toes in slightly and the heels out slightly. This is just going to help our thighs to roll in when we come into our hanging Uttanasana. And then the arms up, hold on to the elbows, pull the arms back, stretch, inhale, lift, grip the legs, and exhaling forward, hanging Uttanasana. Keep pulling the elbow tips down, relaxing the back of the neck, and gripping the knees and thighs up. Now remember how we turn the toes in slightly and the heels out slightly. So tune into that. And now roll your quadriceps, your front thighs in towards each other to copy the action of the feet. And feel how as the thighs roll in, the inner sit bones move away from each other. And in this way the inner hips broaden. And then releasing the hands to the mat and walking the feet back, really articulating the knees, the legs. Keep the knees bent. Spread your fingers apart widely. Check with your eyes to make sure that's what's happening. Stretch the arms, the inner elbows facing forward. Keep the knees bent. Now lower the head so the ears are in line with the inner arms and look at your feet. And lift the heels higher if they can go higher. And spread the toes, press down between them. Feel the juncture of your toes, press into them, awaken them. And now feel the roots of the thighs coming into the hip sockets. And as you do so, the sit bones will start to lift. As you draw the roots of the thighs in, the hips will lift. And you'll enter the pose more deeply. And now with an exhale, let's straighten the legs. Looking up, let's step the right leg forward to a nice wide lunge. Move the back foot back and straighten the back inner knee. It loves to bend, so keep an eye on it. If you're able to, come onto the forearms, otherwise on the hands and spine, and articulating through the back foot, push yourselves forward and backwards, rolling over those back toes, over the dorsal foot. Keep trying to straighten the leg the moment you can. And then bend the back knee and rest it to the mat. See if you can move the knee back a little bit, increasing the length, the availability of length in the front left thigh. And then lowering the head down. And with an exhale, surrendering to this moment, to all of the sensations of it, and trying to find ease of being through it. Long, deep inhalations and exhalations. And then coming back up, keep pressing the buttocks down as you lift the chest up. And then neutralizing, and let's step this right foot back and find plank pose. So spread the palms, spread the fingers apart, look at your legs, make sure they're straight, make sure your buttocks aren't lifted up high or your buttocks aren't dropping down. Stabilize the core to the lower back. Now onto the forearms, keeping that central stability. Push out through the inner knees, the inner heels. And back up onto the hands. Downward dog. So push the front thighs back. Stretch the arms, stretch the legs, lift the heels. And feel the buttocks lift higher and higher. The tip of the triangle rising up to the sky. And now the left leg coming forward to a nice wide lunge. Move that back foot back as needed, straighten it completely, and then if you can, come onto the forearms or stay on the hands and begin to propel yourselves forward and backwards. Really articulating through the back foot, feeling each toe, each little bone, getting to know it in new ways, getting to feel it in new ways. And then bending that back knee, resting it on the mat. If you can move the knee back a little bit, do so. And when you're at your maximum, inhale, and with an exhalation, enter into the deepest essence of this experience possible. And then back up onto our hands. Keep pressing the buttocks forward and press into the hands to lift the chest up. And then releasing. And yep, back to plank pose. Are you ready? Spread the palms, the fingers. Walk that left leg back, find plank. Make sure you're not dipping. Make sure you're not overlifting, as central as possible. Push out through the inner knees, the inner feet. Lift the belly button up and bolt the outer hips together. And then down to the forearms. And back up onto the hands. And Adho Geshvanasana, still with the heels lifted, for maximum lifting of the hips and maximum extension of the lower third of the spine. Such a hard area to reach. Lifting the heels helps us to reach that. Keep pushing your front thighs back. Now we're going to come straight from downward dog to upward dog. Let's just widen our hands a little bit and turn the hands a little bit open. This really helps us to roll the shoulders back in our upward dog to get more front chest opening through that access. So we'll be in downward dog. We'll inhale and And then exhale straight into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And exhale straight to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Heels lifted, front thighs pressing back. And again, inhale. And exhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Last one, ready? Inhale. And exhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Press into the tops of the feet, press into the tops of all 10 toes. Roll the shoulders back, lift the sternum plate. And exhaling back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then walking the legs forward, really articulating movement in the knees, exaggerating out, turning the toes in, the heels out. Now change the hanging position of the arms and dropping the head down, hanging Uttanasana. Feel the difference in the alertness of the legs, of the feet, the entire vehicle. Now I'm going to bend the knees, squatting down. So go ahead and start bending the legs, the hips moving back, the femurs staying connected into the hip sockets, the heels firm. Widen the knees apart so the trunk can be between the legs. And keep bending, bending, bending until your thighs look to be as parallel as possible to the floor. Draw the femur bones in, pull the elbows to the mat, and now squeeze the knees and grip them to the outer trunks. Keep drawing the femurs into the hips, keep the heels firm. And let's begin to straighten. Good job. Making those muscles burn, working deeply. That's it, going slowly, 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 slowly. And as you straighten, grip the knees up, grip the thighs up, grip the roots of the thighs up. Spread the sit bones apart. And pull the elbows to the mat. And then looking up, releasing the hands, placing them on the hips, bending the knees, really press into the heels. Hands coming up, through that. Feet together. Tadasana. Nice and calm, composed. Deep inhalation. Deep exhalation. Right, it's time for our Shirshasana. So if you're not doing Shirshasana, you could do Supta. And if you are doing Shirshasana and you're using a wall, go ahead and put yourselves in, otherwise just grab your blanket and let's be back on the mat. So as we come to our inversions, we've gone through about half of our practice and we've settled into what we could call the beginning of a yoga state of mind, moving deeper. And so inversions are a really good place to be honest with ourselves and to observe tendencies, things that might have taken place, manifested in external life or just in thought form that go against a higher good, so to speak. Ahimsa being a huge one, that's something we find in faiths around the world, non-violence. And it's such a seed principle. And when we really become honest with ourselves, we'll notice a myriad of ways in which we have consciously and often unconsciously done things that inherently have a seed thought form of some kind of violence. So using the inversions and the upside downness to look at things from a new dimension, to be real, to be honest, because that's how we release ourselves from the grip of those kind of repetitions. All right, are we ready? Whatever we're doing as our Shirshasana, let's enter and begin. Making sure you're on the crown of the head, which for most people is a little further back than they actually imagine. Bracing the shoulders, connecting with the strength of the upper back. And then the toes turning under, the legs straightening. Repress the forearms down, lift the shoulders up. You want to keep the foundations of your pose really firm as you walk the feet closer and closer. And then go ahead and lift one leg up, followed by the other leg, entering Shirshasana 1. Remember the legs that we've had, where we're really pulling the toes back and pushing out through the balls of the feet, and the outside edges of the feet coming down towards the outer hips. Check that the shoulders aren't dropping. Keep lifting them up, bracing from the upper back, and then observe the state of the breath. Has it become ragged? If it's faster, how much faster than your normal breath count? Give attention to its evenness or its non-evenness. The breath telling us so much about where we're at in a pose. And as the breath becomes more even, riding that breath gently to observe, to watch whatever arises when we ask ourselves the questions of our ahimsa in our thoughts, in our behavior. Notice how the body may wobble a little bit when something arises that's unpleasant, that kind of weakens you. So just paying attention to that subtle and crucial relationship between thought forms, mind, and body vehicle. And now let's come to Upavishakasana and Shirshasana. So first of all, just opening the feet apart from each other, but keeping the heels connected. Pulling the toes back, lifting the shoulders up again. And then begin to widen the legs apart from each other, but keep gripping the heads of the femur bones into the hip sockets. You have to visualize what that looks like and be there in those parts of the body, gripping them in as the legs come down. And then it's an entirely different pose. Instead of just looseness and straightness of the legs, there's that crucial contraction and grippiness. Then now let's come to Bandha and bending the knees, the soles of the feet finding each other and pressing the soles of the feet against each other, particularly noting the outside edges of the feet pressing against each other. Re-lift the shoulders up, re-press the forearms down and observe the breath. And then re-straighten your legs to Shirshasana. Preparing to come down, lowering one leg and then the other following. Yoga Mudrasana. And then back up. And Vajrasana. Deep inhalation from the pelvic floor, flowering in the center of the chest. Deep exhalation, shoulders relaxing, the face relaxing, the brain relaxing. Good. And releasing. Alright, time for Sarvangasana. So you could always do a chair Sarvangasana if you prefer that. I'm going to stick with a classical version of Sarvangasana. So gathering our blankets and gathering a strap and coming back to the mat. I've taken 4 blankets today because I'm a little bit tight from all that travelling. And the strap, the loop, inner armpit to the inner armpit. Don't go smaller, that would be violent and too much. And if you need to go bigger because the shoulders are really tight, just gently over time bring it in to the armpit. Okay, let's put the strap on first. So bringing it back and up over the elbows. And this is where you'll feel if it's right for you or too tight, adjust. And then interlock the fingers, stretch the arms straight. Roll the shoulders back, really get that front shoulder action rolling back, then release the fingers and parallelize your arms. And now bring the hands forward, but keep the front shoulders rolling back, the elbows back. And then place the hands on the back. And feel the Sarvangasana action. Now really roll your front shoulders back again. Try to let the elbows go with the strap. See if your hands can climb higher up the back, which when you're in your Sarvangasana will be closer to the floor. And press those ribs forward to open the chest. Now feel the action of the outside edges of your hands. So just like the feet, the outer edges of the hands are important. The outer skirting. Feel them press against the back, stretch, open. Okay, so now that we have that imprint in place, let's come into our Sarvangasana. So we're keeping this imprint, moving mindfully so that it stays there as we come in. Chaturasana, so lift the hips, the buttocks, parallelize the arms, turn the palms open to the sky, and use that action to really roll the front shoulders back. And then turn the hands back down. They may wish to press against the mat. So now I'll help you to roll and kick and lift over. Feet behind you. And now interlock your fingers behind your back, thumbs pressing, and re-pull each front shoulder back. Maximize the opening. Now press the arms down. Often we'll just keep the arms straight behind and then we lift the legs. You need to press the arms down. The arms need to become like our legs and feet. And as they press down, the back body will learn to press up. Now bring the hands to the back, keeping the arms and the elbows pressing down. Lift one leg up. And then lift the other leg up. Coming to Sarvangasana. Look at your feet and activate them. That means pull those toes back. Outer skirting of the feet, intelligent, pulling towards the outer hips and pushing up through the balls of the feet. Try to get the hands higher up the back. And pay attention to what's happened to the breath. How has it changed? How does it feel different? Widen the feet hip distance apart. Make sure the knees are completely straight. And very slightly roll the thighs in towards each other. Very slightly. So that the sit bones, the inner sit bones are widening. Keep pulling the toes back, pushing out through the balls of the feet. Climbing the hands higher and higher. And now join the feet again. Ekapada Sarvangasana, keep the left leg fixed where it is, with control and awareness, lowering that right leg. Both femurs succinctly being drawn into the hip sockets. And back up to Sarvangasana. And don't hurry to change sides. Take a few breaths in the neutrality of Sarvangasana. And now, left leg descending. Squeeze the knees straight. And bring the leg back up. Sarvangasana. And now let's lower the legs to the floor behind us. So you can either come down with 2 legs at a time, or you can bring one leg down and then follow it with the other. And we're coming to Halasana. And before we engage in Halasana, let's just remove the strap off the arms. And then interlock the fingers behind the back, stretch the arms straight and re-roll the shoulders back, but free of the strap. Now straighten the legs. Draw the femurs into the hips. Experiment what that means. To push the femurs out of the hips or to draw them back in. The thighs rolling in, the inner sit bones widening. Keep pressing the arms down to activate the back ribs. Changing the interlock of the fingers behind the back so the other little pinky is underneath. Re-roll each shoulder back, stretch the arms, press the arms down, press the front thighs up. Observing the breath, lengthen it, deepen it. And then releasing the interlock of the fingers. And gently, without any hurry, unrolling. One vertebrae at a time. And then immediately lifting the hips and using the feet to push ourselves back until only the hips are on the blanket. Widen the feet apart, not knees, knees resting against each other, heels apart from each other. And arms extended. Deep inhalation. And deep relaxing exhalation. Let the shoulders go, let the effort go. And again, deep inhalation. Deep exhalation. And now rolling over to the right hand side, pushing ourselves up. And out we go. Alright, we're going to move these blankets, just keeping one of them. And we are going to get one block, or if you have excellent spinal flexibility, you might wish to have 2 blocks. And come back to the mat for our final setu, bandha, Sarvangasana, immediately followed by Shavasana. Alright, so this blanket is folded in half, waiting for our neck and head behind us. And then we have one block for shawl, and then if you're super open in the spine and the upper chest, you might wish to have 2. So I'm going to show you what the pose looks like. You all know this pose, but just a little repeat. And if you're doing with 2 blocks, then obviously one block is going on the bottom like so, and you're stacking. I'm going to show with one block today. So having your block, you have heights to choose from. You have the highest height, this height, and you can even go really low. But try to go for the highest, and you want to place it really low between the crack of the buttocks. Most people go too much in the lower back, and then it's painful, and they don't like the pose but it's such a beautiful pose. If you can just get the block in the right spot to avoid that lower back tenderness, it's going to train the tailbone to press forward, because with age the tailbone pops out and then the organs drop. So here we're doing the reverse. We're pressing the tailbone up to the pubic bone, and then the organs can come in, and what is going to arch is the middle and upper back, not the lower back. So to get that, we stretch the arms back, interlock the fingers, and then lift each shoulder up, roll the front shoulder back, and tap the shoulder blade up. And the same to the other. Roll the front, lift it up, roll the front shoulder back, blade. Let me do that again. Lift the other shoulder up, roll the front shoulder back, and press the shoulder blade up. And then press the arms down to activate those back ribs to continually be pressing up to the sky, never dropping. The chin coming towards the chest, not lifting away from it. If your chin is lifting away, it indicates neck tightness, neck shortness, and it means that you're putting too much pressure on the skull. So really think of lengthening your back neck, allowing the chin to come forward, and pressing the back ribs up so the sternum meets the chin. Now, bring the feet a little bit closer, not touching, just closer, and make sure that they feel parallel. If anything, you can turn the heels out a little bit and turn the toes in, because we don't want the knees to widen at all. This will bring the arch to the lower back when the knees widen. So by turning the toes in and the heels out, we're helping the outer thighs coming in towards each other. We're helping the thighs to stay parallel. Bolting your outer hips, and try to arch the middle back and the upper back. The middle spine and the upper spine arching, and those middle ribs and upper ribs pressing up, arms pressing down. It's a very pranayamic pose too. It's a magnificent pose to really stretch the intercostal muscles and everything beneath, and those side pranayamic ribs. With each inhale, you should really be feeling, maximizing that expansion. And when you exhale, don't close that down. Keep the broadness, discovering new exhalation that doesn't contract. Now let's change the interlock of the fingers behind the back, so the other little pinky underneath, and re-roll the shoulders back. Press the arms down, reignite the back ribs. And this pose directly opens the sternum plate, the heart center. So that opening, that attention given to that area naturally sinks us back into heart rhythm. Now bring the feet even closer, 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 parallel, and then lift the right foot up, draw the thigh closer, and with an exhale, extend to the sky. Press the arms down, the back ribs up. Chin towards the sternum, sternum towards the chin. And then bending that right leg, foot to the floor, placing it parallel, firm, left leg up, draw the thigh towards the chest, and with an exhale, straighten the leg, pull the toes back, outer edges of the feet doing their job, femur coming into the hip socket. Now press the arms down and press the back ribs up, sternum plate opening. And then bending this left leg and foot to the floor. Alright, spread the feet apart again and press into the feet to lift the hips up, and let's move our blocks and hold the hips so that as we come down we can tilt the pelvis, moving our buttocks, our sacrum towards the feet. So helping the lower back connect to the earth. And then reaching for your blankets that are behind you. And since we have our blocks, we can use that for our hands, so holding them in your hands. Legs straight, the thighs rolling open, the feet rolling open, arms extended, the shoulders rolling back. And blocks on the hand is just a wonderful way to get those last little thoughts that often we hold as twitches in our fingers. I see a lot of people in Shavasana and just their fingertips are twitching, and I know that they're thinking. So let's just last pacification of the mind, tuning into the heart, allowing for non-judgmental self-honesty as we rest and receive this Shavasana. The eyes closing. And with an exhale, releasing to Shavasana. And then softly, just moving the blocks from our hands so that we can roll over onto the sides of our bodies in the fetal position. And the eyes can gently open. Using the hands to still softly push ourselves out. And then just ending with a final seated meditation. There's always a feeling of grace after practice, some kind of alignment with higher purpose, higher integrity. And just giving thanks to that and loving kindness to all sentient beings. Loka samastaha sukhinho bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And welcome back from our practice journey. This session is complete, and I hope that not only the vehicle, people always focus on their asanas, their bodies working out, but your mind, you feel the clarity in the mind, and you feel that sensitivity to the heart, you feel any clouds of denial that we all have in some way, shape or form, breaking free, breaking open, more honesty about ways in which we may think or act. And shifting, again, to reflect that grace that we receive from the practice and that connection with truth and goodness, with right action. Namaste. Hope to see you soon. Take care.